flying event this afternoon. I'd like to bring to the stage now one of our favorite Daiko groups, Jiten Daiko.
No, okay. so much for coming. We are Jiten Daiko, and happy Pride! We're so happy to be here today. Pride means a lot to a lot of the members in this group, and we're happy that we get to be a part of this performance today and be playing for you guys. So that last piece we just played was a piece written by one of our members called Big Trees. Next up, we have another piece written by one of our group members called Umifure, written by one of our members, Ko. It features a lot of different parts, kind of interlocking into each other, some counterpoint. Following after that, we have a piece called Matsuri, where you'll get to see all of us solo. And yeah, we're just really excited to be here and excited to play for you guys, and we hope you enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reina. And hello. Hi, friend. Hello. Hi,
Okay, fabulous. Give it up for our lovely Daiko group. Wasn't that amazing? Just kidding, they have 2 more songs. I will get off the stage. Jiten Daiko. We're an affiliate group of the Buddhist Church of San Francisco. So thank you so much for having us here today. We're so glad we could come out and help support. Thanks as always to the Buddhist Church for having us here and helping make our group possible. So hope you enjoy and enjoy the rest of the Pride flag raising event today. Thank you. We have one more song.
one more time for our Daiko group. Woo! This is it, right? This is, okay. I cut them off last time. I feel so bad. 2 more songs. Well, hello everyone and welcome. Hello San Francisco, Japantown. Woo! How is everyone doing this morning? Yeah! Well, I am so glad to see you all here today. My name is Christy Yumikuchi. And for the children in the audience, I will not be explaining what that means. But thank you all for coming. And so today we have a very exciting program for you that is brought to you by the Japantown Rainbow Coalition. And so the Japantown Rainbow Coalition is a group of members of the LGBTQ community here in Japantown. And we were organizing, and we are organizing, and we did organize actually to get the rainbow flag raised here in Peace Plaza, Japantown for the very first time. And so there it is right there. You can see it. Ladies and gentlemen, babies and gentlethems, it is right there. It is flowing in the wind. And so first, to start off our program, we have some very exciting speakers for you here today. And we are starting with our very own Supervisor Dean Preston. And so Supervisor Dean Preston, Supervisor of District 5, this is where you make your beauty walk. You know, you have to give us like a little strut up here onto the stage. And here we go. So Supervisor Dean Preston, we are so thrilled to have him here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. And first, let's hear it for Christy Yamaguchi.
Hello, that's me.
That is, thank you. This is amazing. Thank you all for being here, and it's great to be here with my colleague, Rafael from District 8, who I know you'll be hearing from in a minute. And I do want to start just by thanking some folks, because this kind of event, believe me, in this town, this kind of event does not just happen. It happens because of a lot of tremendous hard work and people pushing through the bureaucracies of our city so that we can all come together. So I want to thank the Japantown Rainbow Coalition, and especially Elena Nielsen, who worked really closely with our office and my legislative aide, Kyle Smealy, and also Dr. Emily Marassi of the Japantown Task Force. There were also a number of organizations who have formally endorsed and supported. I want to mention them, the Japanese American Religious Federation, Japanese Community Youth Council, and last but definitely not least, Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Northern California. And I guess really last but not least, thank you to the folks at Rec Park for working with all of the folks I've just mentioned so that we can, for the first time ever, raise this flag here on the Peace Plaza today. So my office is really proud to support the efforts to raise the flag here today in conjunction with Queer, Trans, Asian Pacific Islander Week that led us into Pride Month. And this flag is really, it's more than just a symbol. It stands as a testament to how we continue to be a city where all kinds of folks can seek refuge and seek a home. I think this is especially important right now in light of the really horrific legislative efforts all across the country to codify discrimination against the LGBTQ community. And in 2021, as most of you know, was a record-breaking year in a bad way. It was a record-breaking year with more than 290 bills. 290 bills introduced in state legislatures across this country targeting the LGBTQ plus communities. 25 of those were actually enacted. Others are still pending. And this year, According to data from Human Rights Campaign, we're on track as a nation to do even worse. We're looking at some 300 proposed bills across 36 states. And more than a third of those are directly attacking trans youth. What started as bathroom bans, it spread to women's sports and healthcare, and in some states we're actually at the point where the mere discussion in a classroom of sexuality, of LGBTQ issues, is banned in a classroom, just the mere discussion. And I think our city stands in unison, in unity, against these efforts and condemning these efforts nationwide. And it's important that queer youth in particular across the country can look to San Francisco and can know that this is a place of refuge and that they will be welcome anywhere in our communities and our city, no matter who they are, how they identify, and who they love. So I want to be clear, we as a city, we've got our work to do. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. We got recent figures showing that unsheltered youth under the age of 25, so-called TAY, overwhelmingly identify as LGBTQ. We've got particularly so many of our trans youth who are suffering from housing instability and who are homeless. We have incredible advocates, some of whom are here today, who are working every day to address these inequities. And in this upcoming budget cycle, I know I speak for myself, for my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors, and the Mayor's office as well, to make very clear our commitment to addressing these inequities, and in particular ending trans homelessness in San Francisco. So we've got a lot of work to do. We're making progress. It is an honor to be here with you all. It's an honor always to be in Japantown, one of the most wonderful parts of District 5. And if you've been watching redistricting, it wasn't so clear it was going to stay in District 5. So thank you, all of you and everyone in the Fillmore, for fighting to keep this community in our district and connected to the Fillmore. I'm so proud to be with you and to be celebrating the raising of this incredible flag for the first time ever on the Peace Plaza, and doing it side by side with so many courageous and really fearless advocates, and all of you who have come together today to celebrate with us here in the community. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Supervisor Dean Preston. Thank you for joining us. And thank you so much for setting the very important political context in which our country is right now. Not only our country, but our city, right? So did you hear one of the statistics that he mentioned? So when we think about the youth on our streets, the youth who don't have housing, roughly half of them identify as LGBT. And that's been true for actually the last several years. And that's something that's very unique to this city. Not a lot of people know that. But that rate that's so high, there's not another city in the country that has a rate that high. So that's something we really got to think about, especially as we go into this Pride Month, right? And so for those of you joining us recently or now, hello, my name is Christy Yumikuchi. I am a member of the Japantown Rainbow Coalition. We are a group that is sponsored by the San Francisco JACL, who also sponsored this lovely event here, this plaza that you are all sitting in. We love it. We love the JACL and the San Francisco chapter. And also shout out to the Berkeley chapter, who is also here, Berkeley JACL. Thank you for joining us here today. And our next speaker, who I'm going to bring up, is someone near and dear to our hearts as well. Even though he is not of this district, we still said, sure, I guess you can come. And so he is also, in fact, here today. And so we have two competing supervisors here today, and what that means is that later on you need to stick around because we're going to make them fight to the death. Just kidding, our liability insurance does not cover that, unfortunately, but I am bringing up Rafael Mandelman, Supervisor of District 8.
Oh my gosh, hello. I feel like we're going to do a duet now. So good. Hey, everybody.
Play the track.
No. Very bad idea. I'm Rafael Mandelman. I am the District 8 Supervisor. I represent the Castro and many other neighborhoods, and I I love June, I love Pride Month, but I love that we always say that queer people, we are everywhere, but I love that this year it feels especially like we are everywhere. I'm getting invited to Pride events in the Excelsior, in the Sunset, in Japantown. This is so exciting, and against the backdrop of all the bad news that Supervisor Preston had to share, and thank you for contextualizing all the bad stuff that is happening in the world and in the United States. We're so good in San Francisco, and recognizing that our queer history is not just the Castro, it's not just a particular community, it's everywhere. 1954, the Mattachine Society, one of the earliest queer rights organizations, 1954, before Stonewall, before Compton Cafeteria. Here in Japantown, there was a gathering of people who probably, didn't even have a name necessarily, homophiles, I guess, gathered to begin the movement that would actually transform the world and create space for people like me and many of you out there, queer folks. So thank you, Japantown YMCA, for being the home for that amazing thing back in 1954. I love seeing the progress flags raised here because it insists that queer people are everywhere, from every community, and demands that all people be acknowledged and recognized. Oh my gosh, it's Emily Morase. Look at you, all the great work that you're doing. Thank you for being here. There are luminaries in our midst, folks. We have Emily Morase. I saw Fire Commissioner Steve Nakajo was here. Thank you for being here. We have a Pride Grand Marshal here in the house. Vinnie Yang is back there. We've got Claudine Chang and her crew of APA Heritage folks who every May make sure that we acknowledge the contributions of APA folks in San Francisco. So it's my tremendous, tremendous honor to be here. I brought a little certificate, which, as I say, is my one superpower in the universe. I can get my colleagues to sign on to certificates. So I will give this to Kristi.
Who, me?
Yeah, that's right. This is
A certificate!
This is the photo opportunity, everybody. So exciting. You get photos? Yeah. And then I also want to acknowledge, we have, in addition to all the other luminaries, we have a citywide, yes, that's right, folks, a citywide elected official. We have our Assessor-Recorder. Get excited, Joaquín Torres!
Thank you so much, Supervisor. And thank you, Christy Yummikochi. I just want to say to all of you, as a proud son of two gay dads from the Latino community, to know that we're celebrating Pride Month, but celebrating Queer, Trans, Asian, Pacific Islander Week here in Japantown. And as Supervisor Mandelman said, that we are celebrating Pride all across this city, in all of our neighborhoods, to reflect the true diversity and values of inclusion and power for the LGBTQ communities throughout our city. So to all of you, have an extraordinary Pride. It's an honor to be here with you today. And Kristi, thank you so much for your leadership. To the Japantown Rainbow Coalition, the Japanese American Citizen League, and of course for all of the leadership that's present here today that the supervisors have mentioned, thank you and happy Pride.
Of course, thank you, Assessor Torres, and thank you for being here and joining us. So we had some fun little history tidbits there, didn't we? So really interesting, actually, the YMCA, the building that Supervisor Mandelman was talking about earlier. It is one of a very small handful of sites that are designated as historic for LGBT purposes. Isn't that interesting? It's on the National Register of Historic Places. The more you know. We're going to be doing a lot of those, so get ready to have your rainbow hands out. Next, I am so excited to introduce our next contingent here. This person has been helping us out immensely in organizing this event, in getting everything from figuring out how to put the flag on that pole, to figuring out, okay, well, who should we invite and how are we going to do this? So I am very glad to introduce Elaine Donlin.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Elaine Donlin from the Buddhist Church of San Francisco, and today is a celebration. Today is also an opportunity to reflect on the long road of our often challenging queer history. And acknowledging visibility matters. Visible flags in our home communities matter. When this Pride flag raising project was introduced to the Japantown community. The Japanese American Religious Federation was the first Japantown organization to unanimously vote to endorse support of today. The second organization was the Merchants Association. So make sure after this you visit the merchants here in Japantown. So the Japanese American Religious Federation was established in 1948 to foster communication and understanding and better relationships among Buddhist, Christian, and independent lineages of the Japanese American community in San Francisco. And today I am so honored to welcome several of my colleagues from JARF in offering blessings for this most auspicious event. I will be representing the Buddhist tradition, and following my blessing, representatives from the Christian tradition from Pine United Methodist Church will have lead pastor Janelle Ablola, along with current president of JARF, Reverend Gary Barbary. And closing out our blessing today, representing the independent traditions from Koonko Church, we'll have head minister Reverend Joanne Tolosa and associate minister, Reverend Alan Matsui. So I'll begin with the Buddhist reflection. So in the ancient Metta Sutra, it is written, "May all beings be well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and with ease. May all beings be cared for and loved, be listened to and understood and acknowledged despite different views and perspectives. May all beings be accepted for who they are in this moment, be allowed to live without fear of having their lives or rights taken away. Be able to speak freely in a voice and mind of undeniable love and authenticity. For we are deeply interdependent. Our lives are profoundly interconnected. May we all awaken to this truth of our interdependency and equality. In my Shin tradition, we express this universal oneness, not sameness, but oneness, as Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. And now Reverend Zabola and Reverend Barbary.
Thank you. The Japanese American Religious Federation is representatives from 12 different congregations here in San Francisco, Japanese American historic churches and temples and shrines. And we thought it was very important for us to speak out because for many individuals, they find that the most painful rejection they experience is the rejection from their congregation and their religious tradition. So our 12 congregations thought it was really important for us to speak out and to correct our past teachings. And so we're very pleased that we were invited to participate today. I'll be reading a scripture. It's Psalm 126. And if you grew up in a Jewish home, this was often used as the grace before meals. And it's a story of the return from captivity into the Holy Land after 70 years of exile. Psalm 126, today's English version. When the Lord brought us back to Jerusalem, it was like a dream. So this is a psalm that is a dream. How we laughed, how we sang for joy. Then the other nations said about us, the Lord did great things for them. Indeed, the Lord did great things for us, and how happy we were when we returned. Lord, make us prosperous again, just as the rain brings water back to dry riverbeds. Let those who wept as they planted their crops gather the harvest with joy. Those who wept as they went out in the morning carrying the seed will come back in the evening singing for joy as they bring in the harvest. This psalm is a dream poem. It's about a dream that the poet actually had about what it might mean to return to the place from which the people had been exiled. There are a lot of reverberations for the experience of the Japanese American and African American communities in this neighborhood of being removed from their land and taken into exile. So this is a dream about what it might mean to return. The people have returned and the land is fallow, it is unplanted, unplowed, it is deserted, the buildings have been torn down. The people of the land had been removed and now 70 years later they have returned. And in this dream, the people of the land are ready to plant and to rebuild, but they are living in a devastation. And so in the dream, the planters go out in the morning carrying seeds. And as they walk together through the fields to the other end of the pasture, They toil all through the day, and in the evening when they return to their barns and to their homes, they discover that the miracle has occurred. In that very day, the grain has sprouted and ripened, and in one day's time, it is ready for harvest. And so those very same people who went out in the morning carrying seeds for planting, when they returned in the evening, they harvested. The people of the land went out in the morning weeping and returned in the evening with laughter and song, bringing in the sheaves. This dream has taken a long time to be fulfilled, and there are still people who are living in the nightmare. We are not the only city that has found ways to welcome people, all people, but we are one of the cities that has stood as a leader for those who have this dream. And raising the flag today is no small accomplishment. It didn't happen quickly, and even this year it didn't happen easily, but it did happen. Reverend Ablola.
I'm Pastor Janelle Ablola, pastor at Pine United Methodist Church, and just want to note I'm one of the few non-Japanese American churches that has the privilege of being able to accompany folks who go to our historical Japanese American churches spiritually and just in the various ups and downs of life. I do identify as queer and trans myself, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am Filipino, so I feel like this is I love this month and I love last month, right? It's like our month for queer, trans, Asian people, Pacific Islander folks, Native Hawaiians, right? To be able to have a chance to celebrate with one another, to intentionally celebrate with one another. So I have the privilege of pastoring at Pine United Methodist Church, which is a reconciling church, meaning that it's open and affirming to LGBTQ plus people. And Pine decided to proclaim itself as open and affirming back in 93, 94, thanks to the ministry of Reverend Gary Barbary and the ministers that have gone before him. And in particular, I want to invoke into this space Reverend Lloyd Wake. Reverend Lloyd Wake, many of you know him and his good work for justice and his good work for solidarity. He paved the way for someone like me to be able to pastor at the church that I pastor in now when he started at Pine 50 years ago. I remember him because he's one of the first folks to really come forward as an Asian American person, as a Japanese American person, as someone who had experienced the internment to be inclusive and loving and in solidarity with LGBTQ people. One of the first to start performing marriages here when our denomination said that it was against our policy. The thing I also want to remember about Reverend Lloyd when I think about him in this space is that he would have loved to be here at this celebration. And I also want to remember that his solidarity towards LGBTQ people was not in isolation of his solidarity for other people. His solidarity for all poor and oppressed people, his solidarity for other Asian Americans and for Asians around the world. I remember that Reverend Lloyd Wake is someone who was willing to get arrested because of protesting Marcos back in the Philippines, because of his work on iHotel, his solidarity that crossed these racial lines, crossed class lines, crossed lines because he believed in being in solidarity with the oppressed, and he believed in the power of people coming together. And I think that this legacy, this flag raising, is a symbol of that power of community coming together. It's a reminder for us to be staunch allies whenever we are encountering people who are oppressed, whenever we encounter injustice in whatever forms that may take. And so I hope that this flag raising is more than just a flag raising. I hope it's more than just a symbol. I hope that it's a beginning of relationships built, relationships solidified, relationships strengthened, so that we could do more in this city, so that we could do more for our communities, so that we could do more to serve the people, to serve the oppressed and marginalized people, brown folks, black folks, trans folks, poor folks in this city. Thank you all for inviting us here into this space.
We really are pleased that we're invited to offer today. What we were asked to do is to give our blessing to the people who are here. And in the church, we call that a benediction. And there are several scripture passages that are traditionally used as benedictions that blessings at the end of a time when people have gathered together. And some of them may be familiar with them. If you've ever been to a Christian funeral or a wedding, you'll hear these blessings. They're passages of scripture that were used at the end of a critical moment in the history of the people when they have made new decisions together, when life has changed, covenants are cut, treaties are formed, families are united, and at the end of those kind of services, these are the words that are used as a blessing. It's a blessing because it reminds the people of what has just happened here. The world is different now because we have met in this sacred time and sacred space together. The world is different now. Do not forget that. But the people outside of this circle, outside of this gathering, they do not know that the world has changed. And so these words of benediction are always a call to action. The world has changed for you who are here now, but it has not changed for those who still live in darkness and in nightmare. And so go from this place and let the world know what you saw here today, what you heard here today, what you touched with your own hands, what you tasted with your own mouths, and give that blessing to others. This is a very familiar one. We use it all the time. And I offer it now as your blessing to remind you of what has happened today when the city of San Francisco has removed its city flag and has raised the Pride Progress flag on the city's flagpole in the heart of San Francisco in the Western Addition and Fillmore and Japantown community. So now the Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make the Lord's face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up the countenance of God upon us and grant us peace, eternal peace. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joanne Tolosa, Head Minister of the Kongko Church of San Francisco, and I have Associate Minister Alan Matsui Sensei here with me as well. Let us join our hearts together with our Divine Universal Parent, known by many other names in our respective spiritual traditions. Let us join our hearts with each other in our physical and spiritual form by clapping our hands 4 times together. Main prayer. Main prayer to raise the Progress Pride flag event at Japantown Peace Plaza. Dear Divine Universal Parent Tenchi Kare no Kami-sama, with deep humbleness and utmost sincerity in our hearts, together with the Japantown Rainbow Coalition, Japanese American community groups, and everyone present here today and in spirit, we thank you, Divine Parent, for your unconditional love, for all our divine blessings, seen and unseen, that allow us to sustain our precious gift of life, and for opportunities to find meaning in our lives. Thank you for allowing us to gather here today, all of us, your beloved children, at this Peace Plaza in San Francisco's Japantown, a symbolic community venue representing our link to the culture and people of Japan, to hold this first time ever Progress Pride flag raising event at this location, to celebrate Queer and Trans Asian Pacific Islander Week and Pride Month. We raised the Progress Pride flag as a beacon to draw in and warmly welcome the LGBTQ plus identities, so each individual will know and feel she, he, or they are accepted here by the Japanese American community, and above all, feel that this is our extended home, and a place each one of us, all of us belong. We thank you, Divine Universal Parent Kami-sama, for handing down the following teachings to our founder for all of us, your children, to be inclusive of each other. All people are children of Divine Universal Parent Kami. There is no one who does not belong. In other words, We all belong. Everyone belongs. Which individual is more important, you or someone else? All are human beings. And do not disrespect others. Doing so will not bring divine blessings. With these teachings, we are taught to treat everyone with mutual respect. May we strive for mutual understanding, caring, and compassion. May we express to each other, heart to heart, our love, support, gratitude, and truly value each other, as well as develop and grow our own self-love. We sincerely pray for each individual's physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, a bright future, a network of loving support, and attain peace of mind. Peace begins with our own hearts. We deeply and sincerely thank you for everything, Divine Universal Parent Kami-sama. At this time, let all of us present bow our heads to receive the purification blessing as Alan Matsuin Sensei waves the purification staff to purify our hearts and minds, letting go of our negative thoughts and emotions. Let us truly feel Divine Parent's love and blessings. See and accept each other as fellow children of our Divine Parent. May we work together to build a joyful, peaceful, loving, harmonious world of sincerity and gratitude, one with you. Please bow your heads. Thank you. Let us clap 4 times again together, representing our working together. Thank you, everyone. And go Dubs.
Great, thank you so much. We are so excited that we had members of JARF here today. Can I say just how special it is that we have all of the religious leaders here from the Japanese American community, from the nearby churches here. Because, yes, give it up for them. Because that's not something that's always been possible, right? And in a lot of places, that's something that's still not possible. So we're very grateful to have them all with us here today. And so we are going to continue with our program here. We have some more speakers coming up. Later, we have a performance as well. I hear Christy Yamaguchi might be stopping by. I don't know if any of you know of her. She won a gold medal, but she's going to be here later, so you should stick around. But some fun pieces of history and some welcoming remarks. So for those of you just joining us, hello, my name is Christy Yumikuchi. I am with the Japantown Rainbow Coalition. This big banner, it's so great when I can just point at a big banner behind me. Isn't that lovely? And we have some other organizations here with us today. We have Okairi over there. So if you see, we have a few booths set up. So we have Okairi. Again, this event is sponsored by the San Francisco chapter of the JACL, the Japanese American Citizens League. We also have the Berkeley JACL with us here today as well. So we have a whole host of folks here with us. And why are we here today? Well, that's a good question. And let me tell you. So, as many of you know, it is Pride Month. And what the Japantown Rainbow Coalition has been doing and what we have been organizing for is to raise the pride flag. So if you take a look over there, you will see that it is kind of hanging droopy right now. Just give it a minute. The wind needs to pick up a little bit. But when it does, it'll look fabulous. But as you can see, we have the Progress Pride flag here. And so interesting fact, I think maybe some people might know this, but the first rainbow flag was actually designed here in San Francisco by Gilbert Baker in 1978. And the original rainbow flag actually had 8 colors. So as you can see from my big gay outfit, it looked a little different, right? And the reason behind that is because when Gilbert Baker was trying to mass produce the flags, when the flag shops were trying to make more and more flags because everyone was turning gay, they had to take out some colors. And so at the time, actually, pink the lovely color of my hair in honor of the missing color had to be taken out because it was not commercially available as a dye. So interesting fact, the more you know. Remember, I told you we're gonna have some of those rainbow moments, the more you know. And so Gilbert Baker, you know, he was like, oh man, you know, I don't want there to be an odd number of colors on a rainbow flag. That's just gonna be tacky. And so unfortunately, they also took off turquoise. And so some people know, but each color of the rainbow flag actually has a meaning, right? And so if you look at the flag there, you have red, which is for life, orange, which is for healing, yellow is for sunshine, green is for nature. You have this like blue, which is supposed to be serenity. And you also have violet, which is for spirit, which is why Spirit Day, on Spirit Day, you wear purple. But pink and turquoise, those were the colors for sex and magic. So unfortunately, we no longer have those. And it's really been going downhill since. And we're just trying to like get back up there, but it's so hard without pink and teal, let me tell you. But enough of that, enough of the history, enough of the story. I am going to bring up our next speaker. Here, you know, I don't know if I should be upset or like happy. Woo! When my phone recognizes my face, you know, should I be impressed or should I be like offended? Like, does it mean my makeup's not good enough or like the technology is really good? I don't know, you know, it's still out.